May it please the court, your honor. Before you is Mr. Jamarion Epps. He is here on case numbers 2023 GS 45 0152 and 0162. Your honor, his charges include resisting arrest, unlawful carrying of a pistol, criminal sexual conduct in the first degree, armed robbery, pointing and presenting a firearm, breach of peace aggravated in nature, and assault and battery first degree. Your honor, he is represented by attorney Grant Smaldone. Your honor, I believe at the time that he picked up these charges, Mr. Smaldone wasn't aware that he had this prior charge, and I think he got appointed recently on everything as a whole.
Okay. So tell me about, was he out of jail or something? Reoffended?
Yes, sir. He was out on bond, and that is in regards to the resisting arrest, the assault and battery first degree, the breach of peace aggravated in nature, and the pointing and presenting a firearm when he committed the newer offenses of armed robbery, criminal sexual conduct in the first degree, unlawful carrying of a pistol, possession of a weapon, and resisting arrest.
Okay. So tell me about the accident.
Your honor, back on August 9th of 2023, Winsboro County Sheriff deputies were called out to 281 Planters Road located in the King Street area of Winsboro County in reference to a reported armed robbery. Central Dispatch said the victims were robbed at gunpoint and that the two suspects left the scene driving a red and colored Nissan, possibly heading towards Dorn Avenue located in the King Street area of Winsboro County. When officers arrived on the scene, they were approached by a white male who identified himself as he stated that on that day, he and his live-in girlfriend caught a ride with two black males. One male who was tall was identified as Mr. Devontae, and the other black male was a little heavier in weight, and he was identified as Mr. JoJo. Mr. stated that he knows JoJo from buying dope from him, and he lives with the track with his mother, and Devontae lives somewhere in King Street. Mr. stated that these two males stole his flat screen TV, push lawnmower, the Ring camera, and copper wire. Mr. stated the two suspects picked him up and his live-in girlfriend as well from the residence in the red and colored Nissan. He stated that they went to Moss Corner to his live-in girlfriend's family house. He said that they then returned back. At that time, when they returned back to the residence, Devontae held them at gunpoint and took them in the house. Mr. Devontae took him outside to the shed to find something of value and left his live-in girlfriend inside the residence with JoJo. Mr. And once they came back inside, he saw his live-in girlfriend naked and jumped in front of the handgun that was holding in front of her and told his live-in girlfriend to put her clothes back on. Mr. McKinney said the handgun was black in color and appeared to be a .38 caliber pistol. JoJo then racked the handgun, threatening to kill him if he didn't move. Officers then went on the scene again to get in contact with the second victim. Ms. stated the same exact story about leaving the residence to head to Moss Corner and returning to the residence. She stated that once they arrived there, the two suspects demanded that they get out. They took Mr. cell phone and took them inside the house. She stated that the two suspects broke all the dresser drawers trying to look for something of value. When they did not find anything in the house, that's when the taller male, Mr. Devontae, took Mr. and stated that Mr. Jamarion or JoJo stated that since you don't have anything, you need to make it right. That's when Mr. Jamarion demanded that she take her clothes off. She said that she started crying and begged him not to do so. She stated that's when he pulled his out and fondled her. She said she kept crying and told him that her dad was coming home at 3 o'clock so that it would give him a reason why to leave the home before anybody got there. The suspect too then started pulling her head down next to him in an attempt to make her have sex with him. She stated that when this occurred, Mr. and Devontae were coming back in. When he saw her nude, that's when he jumped in front of the gun and told her to put her clothes back on. The two victims stated that they were in fear for reporting this incident, so they waited an hour. Once these two individuals left the scene in their red Nissan, then they called law enforcement. Once the details were given to law enforcement, warrants were sought for these two individuals. And on August 21st, 2023, Investigator Kennedy and Investigator Brown were advised by radio that Jamarion Epps was at Subway on Long Street, and they wanted to check and make sure his warrants were still active. They did get confirmation that the warrants were active on him, and those two investigators were en route to assist. Once they arrived at Subway on the 21st, they observed Jamarion Epps. He was sitting in the interior portion of the restaurant. He was confirmed to be the person that they were looking for. As officers were trying to approach Mr. Epps, he tried to exit on Long Street and tried to walk outside of the facility. Investigator Brown then made contact with Epps and advised him to place his hands behind his back because he had an active warrant. Epps declined to do so and began inquiring what the warrant was for. Investigator Brown was able to obtain Epps' left hand and place the cuff on that hand. Epps began pulling away from law enforcement in an attempt to not allow them to put the cuff on his other arm. After pulling away for a good amount of time and struggling with law enforcement, additional officers had to arrive on the scene to assist with handcuffing Epps. He then fell to the ground, at which time law enforcement was able to place the handcuffs on him. They did perform a Terry fist on Mr. Epps. Epps did advise officers that he had a handgun on his person, and that's when Captain Timmons removed a black Ruger from Epps' front waistband.
All right, and he was out, when this occurred, he was out of jail on assault bag first degree, and an aggravated breach of peace.
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Employing and presenting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. This I represent Mr. Epps. He is 19 years old. He lives in King Street, has lived in this area all 19 of his years. He's employed. Don't believe he has any prior record in this case. He's been in jail for about 5 months on this. Again, this is his first bond hearing. 1 second, Your Honor. Beg the court's indulgence.
Well, he didn't go back.
I don't believe. Well, he must. I think he went before a magistrate judge before I was appointed. So this is his first bond. I apologize. This is his first bond hearing in circuit court. Your Honor, I would submit to the court that he is 19 years old. He has family support that is currently present in the courtroom. He would live with his mother and aunt, father. He would be willing to comply with any conditions like GPS monitor, whatever the court sees appropriate. He's indicated to me he's ready to do that. Hearing the facts of this case, and again, I don't have discovery, but there's definitely some things that aren't really adding up as far as the story and as far as what's alleged to have happened. I think this will be a victim credibility case, and I don't think that, look, from my preliminary investigation, I'm not really sure that's going to add up to much. So I would just ask the court for a bond in this case and possibly GPS monitoring.
Okay. Well, the fact that he was out of jail, murder offense, and then he at least caught with going on his second offense, I'm going to deny you bonds, but if you don't have discovery, I will be back here on March the 4th. If you don't have discovery, in this case, by then, you will come back for another bond hearing.
All right, Your Honor, I will write that down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This is Christian News TY. I'm Tony Conyers. If there are any newsworthy events in Williamsburg County, we will get them to you as soon as possible. If not, you can follow us on Christian News TY Facebook, you can follow us on YouTube, and you can follow us on our website.